Point. Quick thoughts, Aggro. One way or the other, or more dependent on the early game here for United?
Yeah, I think it's pretty dependent on how well this Cupid Ymir lane does. I think that those two getting pressure is going to be pretty key. Like I said, I think if United gets off to a 3-4K lead, 15 minutes in, they're going to be in a fantastic spot to win because heavy CC drafts are great from ahead and can make comebacks, but when you have this little guaranteed damage, it gets a little bit scarier for me. So I'm looking at United to try and get a lead and then snowball with how much crowd control.
Thanks, Dolson and Aggro. Finch and Mifflin this time as we move on to United up against Sanguine. Some interesting drafts here. Scream on the Sun Wukong into the jungle. We probably thought this Cerberus is going to end up over there for variety. Persephone making it through here as well. What do you make, Mifflin, of this United draft?
It's exactly as Aggro said, man. It's CC galore. And to speak to his point, I agree that a team with a heavy amount of CC with a lead is so much more potent. But when you fall behind, it's going to be much harder to make true transformations. That if I'm United, I'm looking for an early gank in this dual lane, but it seems like Sanguine's on the same page.
Yeah, it really feels like Panatom didn't want that. Rongyu puts down the good Riptide to make it way harder for Snoopy to get out as Shinto has to use beads in the middle lane. He's been slowed, and Whirlwind is the one that finds first blood. Scream on the Sun Wukong, refuses to play a jungler, making it look good. Certainly, I mean, we've seen Shinto play well on this Merlin, even when he is a little bit behind. Snoopy does come topside onto this long lane, looking to see if he can lock down Netroid. Knows the beads aren't there, but there is the River's Rebuke being used to try and lock down Snoopy and the Sanctified Field, and this Ymir has bit off more than he can chew, walking into double ultimates from the Sanguine duo lane, and Sanguine tied things up.
I just gotta imagine, what was the plan? But Panatom's got a plan. Guy J, lazy back. Gonna lose his life. That's tough.
Certainly tough. Ends up, though, going in favor of...
Looking at Snoopy now, he's got to try and rotate out of this lane or continue finding pressure here, but already we've seen he keeps moving up aggressive, but there's not really any follow-up from his team.
Snoopy trying to keep those beads for Netroid on cooldown if he can, but look at the Riptide over the wall from Rongyu that locks in Snoopy. Guy J tries to provide some peel with the Fields of Love, but Snoopy was in no man's land. There is no safety from there when that many people rotate over the left-hand side of the map, and yet again, Sanguine able to find a pick. Now ahead 3-1 in kills, even though the gold's still pretty close.
I agree, but even then, this draft from United is so wildly different from anything else we've seen from him.
He knew Snoopy was the target, locking him down easily, and the wall obviously not going to save him. Whirlwind gets almost no value out of the grasp of death, and yet again, when Panatom is deciding to ult, they've been able to convert it into kills. 2-0-1 throughout this early game, though still behind Scream on the Wukong.
I mean, Snoopy's, it's looking really good for Sanguine. I mean, again, to call back to what Aggro said, if United comes into the mid-game with a lead, they're looking good. They haven't quite established that yet.
Guy J, there's nowhere for you to dash to. This is a great ultimate from Rongyu. The Field of Love just came out from, I think he maybe thought it was the 1v1, but Scream and Whirlwind are here. United absolutely need to get something on the back of this. Whirlwind shuts down Netroid first off, and there is the ultimate from Scream to try and close the gap, but Rongyu with the Riptide able to reposition, so it ends up being a 1-for-1 Hunter for Hunter
on the map, and should just be already outscaling what United brought to the table.
And remember, this is also an United team that has gone through some shakeups. Snoopy moving over to the support role, adding Guy J in, and Snoopy maybe catching some trouble in the jungle, and Shinto that's able to find the kill credit for that. But this is exactly to my point, Mifflin. It's not just that United might be going into a bit of a tough mid to late game, it's that they're not quite as cohesive yet as this Sanguine squad are, so you already got to think their late-game team fights would be a little bit behind where Sanguine are just because they've had more time to work on it. As Panatom's ultimate doesn't find a lot there in mid, this could get scary for them quickly, especially because we haven't even seen Yarkor get involved. As Panatom hammers out of there, there's the ultimate from Rongyu too, making it hard for Variety to escape. But Sanguine aren't getting aggressive just yet. Maybe I misspeak, as Yarkor is getting aggressive, looking for Whirlwind and cutting down the Persephone Nice.
What a clean rotation. All of that's afforded to them because immediately Panatom forces Hurriwin's Aegis. He loses out on the beads on the tail end. No defensive. But with the draft that they have and all this CC, really, this is a proactive team comp. But they've been forced into this counterplay position just because of the pace of the game. And now Sanguine are going to exploit the fact that they're so far ahead and try and force a fight around this Fury.
Snoopy has to be the one to step forward, but he ends up taking a lot of damage. But that's the River's Rebuke down without a ton of value, so maybe Eunited can feel bolstered. They've got their team fighting ultimates. There's the Grasp of Death, keeping Netroid and Rongu chained in, but Panatom goes to the sky, and that forces Eunited to step back a bit. Dunk doesn't find much of anything, but they kill the Fury again, but Variety steps forward with the Stygian Torment, gets the beads, and there's the Fields of Love. Eunited finally putting the big team fighting ultimates to work, but still they don't get anything. It's Snoopy that falls first. It's Erwin that's in trouble as Yarkor sticks to him. Scream moves into the backline. They're looking for Netroid, but he lives long enough to get some return damage as there's the wall stun as Panatom needs to move, but Variety close in, trying to find one more return kill. He looks for the spin, some more turnaround damage, and sets up for Shinto to get the kill into Scream, and now Variety stuck way too far forward, had to go deep for that kill earlier, but Yarkor can keep up the chase. Rongu has the stuns here for them as another slow comes in from the Yamoja, making it, what, a 4 for 2 overall, as I believe Snoopy has respawned, all in favor of Sanguine.
That's exactly what I was worried about for United. They played that fight, United that is, nearly perfectly. Once Snoopy found that 3-man freeze, I was like, okay, United win this engagement, maybe they're going to swing the Oni Fury back, but they're lacking so much in damage that Sanguine immediately turned it on him, and Yarkor was left completely unabated in the backline, and look what he's doing to Guy J. It's exactly what he did in that last team fight. Just hit, they know it. They want to move on to the Fire Giant and force a fight. I think it's the right play, man.
Variety has already used the lead. There's the Stygian Torment that does pick up at least one. Rongu gets pulled forward. Fields of Love is committed to get the kill, so it's support traded for solo laner. Panatom dunks, doesn't find much, and has to regroup. It's a 4-on-4, but Eunited have been pretty reliant on Variety, just as Sanguine have been reliant on Rongu.
Almost every ultimate downtime, he needs the rest of United to group up so that Scream can return to base, get itself healthy, buy some wards, get ready for this. But because United's kind of split up on the map right now, he has to remain constantly there.
Those Cupid Hearts maybe can help a little bit with that. They do have that little bit of sustain to help out, but this Fire Giant myth is down to half. There's the River's Rebuke to cut things off, and Panatom in the sky to make sure they get the objective. Variety goes in for the Stygian Torment and must pay the ultimate price. Sanguine able to grab the pig. Good wall from Snoopy as he narrowly gets over it. That should save his life, but Sanguine now have the 5v4 with Fire Giant on all 5 members as they continue to surge down the right side.
And they're all completely healthy, and even what little damage they're going to take from this tower is going to get sustained up through this Yamoja. United wasn't able to put up any defense around that Fire Giant and lose out on 1 life. This could result in a Phoenix.
Certainly a favorable position for Sanguine as they move forward. They don't have beads on their backline, though, which could be a problem, but look at Yarkor. He's keeping Hurwind entirely out of the fight, so Guy J is almost all their damage. He steps forward with the Fields of Love, and that does keep Sanguine at bay for a moment, but now the next minion wave is here. They can move forward. Snoopy in the Shards of Ice does get another disengage as they manage to lock down Netroid. They get the Ola run, but Snoopy ends up paying for it as well. So now 4-on-4, and Sanguine's starting to hesitate. They're going to back.
What Snoopy did, he'll separate a fight perfectly. Shinto's going to be dropping AoE damage that's hard to get through, and Panatom and Yarkor are just initiation machines.
I don't know if United realized how many members of Sanguine were here. Another really good ultimate coming out from Rongu, and that isolates 2 members. But they're not quite able to get Scream until Panatom dunks down with the Anvil of Dawn. Scream gonna have to sit down in a casket as Sanguine find one more. But where can they go after this? Perhaps just push down this left side, Mifflin. They've got the mini wave nearby. A great job of pushing up the wave in left. It'll be a while before Sanguine can threaten that Phoenix. So it'll all be about this right side.
Rongu's going to be the first one winning the ultimate.
Yeah, use the ultimate to try and lock them down early on. Panatom drops down into the back of the fight, has to deal with the Grasp of Death, but makes it out nicely. A little bit low in the middle of everything is Netroid. He got isolated inside the Phoenix range, but it ends up working. They're able to take care of that right side Phoenix easily either way. So Sanguine send 3 members back on the right side. Panatom getting chased in the jungle, but he's out as well.
Around each other. Now Variety and Snoopy stepping up a little bit too far on this side of the map. Maybe they don't know how many people are there.
Yarkor goes right into the dazzling offense, but Shinto has been isolated on the top side, still living though as Irwin is the first one to drop, and Yarkor ends up falling in trade. Snoopy falls too. There's the big fields of love as GuyJ gets the double, but Rongyu able to put Variety down. Panatom, the last bit of damage they're holding on to as Netroid's not into the fight yet. As Scream goes into the ulted, Panatom tries to use the Riptide to escape, and it works. It might cost Rongyu his life though, but they keep Panatom alive as Eunited's able to step forward and find some pretty critical kills up, but they want to use the pressure while there's fire minions over in right Mifflin to try and keep this defense of Eunited split up a little bit. If they can get this left side Phoenix, it'll be huge. There's the Rivers of Buke coming out for him. A good wall coming up from Snoopy to stop the damage as Variety moves in with the Stygian Torment, but he gets isolated. No one can follow up, and Variety dies cleanly. Snoopy in trouble as well. The front line for Eunited continues to melt underneath the pressure from Sanguine. That should be it for the left side Phoenix as well. Now will Sanguine continue to push? It looks like the call is a yes. Only 3 members here for United to defend, and they don't have their best ultimates to try and stop them. Sanguine move right onto the Titan and start dropping the damage. First one is Shinto, and that's it for the game. United can't defend, and Sanguine take game 1.
Solo to try and deal with Cthulhu is just jam as much pressure as possible and not worry about trying to out-team fight him. I think that is a viable option.
Thanks again on the desk. Still Finch and Mifflin here, joined by Doug, as always, bringing us the Spectator. And Miff, some good adjustments here from Eunited this time. They don't have to worry about the Amaterasu, the Yamoja, or the Merlin. And
so many tools that Sanguine could just either disengage or engage themselves with. They brought the exact same and potentially even better tools into Game 2.
Snoopy moves up quickly with the abduct, but he's the one that ends up taking most of the damage. But he does hit level 2 first. You heard Hindu, and I believe you were part of it, talk about these level 2 starts as Snoopy is going to fall for first blood. We don't get a chance to talk about the SPL waiting room because Sanguine are already starting things off, and now they've gotten the beads out of GuyJ's, who's still not level 2, which means they can keep up the pressure. Scream getting bullied a bit there in mid, but GuyJ's the one that's in trouble. They want the second kill as well, and Sanguine's dual lane get 2 kills to start things off. Different way this time by stepping on the gas pedal themselves. United already digging themselves a bit of a hole here with the way they started in the long lane, and there might even be more pressure coming as Variety getting ganked early. Panatom and Yarkor working together to get a 3rd kill on the board. This is Sanguine showing us another gear in the early game.
And it looks like the invade attempt is going to continue on through Sanguine. I mean, United can't step up. GuyJ doesn't have beads. Sure, we still maintain the shell on a Snoopy, but things aren't looking good. They have to let this go, or potentially just hope that Kepri's able to steal.
Scream making the rotation. That could be big. Netroid ends up using this down to about half HP over there on the left-hand side, which lowers things a bit more. As Variety is getting caught out. It's Yarkor who's level 5 first. Variety doesn't have an ult. And Panatom went to the sky. They want this kill. Ultimate just used to cut the distance. And Yarkor able to get the kill this time, as that's 4 unanswered for Sanguine at the beginning of the game.
Look, this is an argument that we've been having forever, you and I, Finch, that
middle lane to make that happen, but otherwise, I think United still have to feel at least somewhat good about it. But now, they're stepping up for a red buff invade. This is ambitious. They know Shinto's vulnerable, but there is that Sanctified Field. Able to get out of it is Snoopy, but he has to go topside to evade it. And now Panatom is here, and they go right for Whirlwind earlier. Good jobs using the Scarab's Blessing. That should allow Whirlwind to make it out of there, and they can turn back to its Netroid, who no longer has that Sanctified Field to keep him out of there. Scream able to find the kill with the cudgel, but Snoopy now low on the back of it. This was a heavy commit, looking for that red buff invade, but Rongyu blinking forward, sets up for Shinto to get the kill into Snoopy, and Panatom still has his ultimate, doesn't find anything with the dunk, as United have to retreat.
that's a risky play from United to be stepping up there, especially it's going to be tough over there. GuyJ's walking a thin line. It doesn't even have to be Thor. If Netroid's left alone with him, GuyJ likely just loses the 1v1 now. That Sanctified Field is that important.
Good stun. Panatom gets stunned in the middle of trying to use the hammer there from Screen, using the Tiger Stun well. And the Grasp of Death connects as well. That's huge from Whirlwind. A big play that United absolutely needed. Not just getting a pick, but onto Panatom and denying that jungler farm could be huge.
And now they have the aggressive positioning around the red buff. Scream moves up and loses half of his health.
and has to go into the ultimate right away. Shinto uses beads as well, but Scream can always re-engage. There's that dunk, but right up to follow it is the Sanctified Field. Great work from GaiJ though with the snipe. And there's the revive coming up from Snoopy. This is a much better team fight from United, the best we've seen from them yet. But there's the dunk from Panatom onto 3, at the very least getting the return kill onto Scream. But now he's stuck in the middle of 3 of them, able to barely get out of there with that hammer and stay alive. But United looking a lot better here in game 2.
They really are. It's going to be so hard for them to kill Variety. He's got the Phantom up available through his passive. He's got his ultimate.
And Rongyu in trouble. United again playing aggressively up at GaiJ, looking for the snipes and hits all 3. That's GaiJ, the newbie here for United, finding the big time snipes, putting the scope on with the ROM from long distance.
Man, United fighting on the enemy red
up there, kind of in between the tier 1 and the tier 2 and around that red buff. And with GaiJ rotating over, this is what ROM can do, get some extra value from his ult. This Variety has to use his Lord of the Afterlife defensively to run away from your core, but allows them to get some value as Panatom's going to dunk in. They really want this kill into Variety, and they're going to get it with those 2 ultimates. I don't know if anybody can get away.
Man, Mercury, maybe Sonic Boom to the end of time, maybe
make it towards safety, and now here comes the rotation. Panatom and Shinto are both on their way. There's the to the skies, and Scream gets knocked up in the wrong direction, separated from the team. Does get that Scare's Blessing on him, and Whirlwind has found the kill into Shinto. United are particularly strong fighting in this spot. Yarkor is here though. They've got the Sanctified Field as well, as Netroid gets the kill onto Scream, and they've got Variety isolated on the front of the fight, but he goes up and straight back down with that Lord of the Afterlife. He wants to stick onto Netroid, but Whirlwind has a big Yarkor-shaped problem to try and deal with in the form of that Cthulhu. Ends up taking care of Whirlwind as the backline is able to get that kill onto Netroid. There's the snipes from GaiJ as he misses rarely as well. A big scattered fight happening all over the map.
Yeah, it was really that you can't stop Cthulhu, so just let Whirlwind die. You can't stop it from happening. Let's try and win the fight elsewhere. So the rest of United, the 3 core members, push up into the team fight, are able to pick up Rongyu and Netroid, considering to the skies and Sanctified Field were already used. That's the first time we've seen Yarkor able to rotate into it's so hard to deal with because it allows United to just elongate almost artificially these fights as long as they need to.
Whirlwind, great response with that Grasp of Death to avoid the CC, but Yarkor is up. And there's the dunk from Panatom. Whirlwind is the target, but he has dived far enough back to be able to survive. Sanguine couldn't collect the kill, and now it's United's turn to re-engage, but you can't walk through the big Cthulhu damage, so he's keeping them at bay for now. But now that he's fallen back down, United can step forward. They're heading towards the red buff pit where they're strongest. They're looking for Netroid. He's used the Sanctified Field, but it's not enough. GaiJ gets another kill and is able to shut down 1.
This red buff invade, man, it's actually crazy that every single fight United is taking is originating
kind of running over them and making great use of their extra lives in these engagements. So can Sanguine burn through all of that? Becomes the question. Oni Fury is now up. Keep an eye on the Scarab's Blessing in particular and where Snoopy chooses to use it, as already there's been some trouble for Variety, but it's Rongyu that pops instantly. A big fight for United, but there's extra life number 1. Scream up to the sky with that Somersault Cloud, able to live. They drop down the River's Rebuke, and they do have Variety isolated. He doesn't get any help. Scarab's Blessing put onto GaiJ, so they just target swap over to Whirlwind, and Shinto buying time with the Aegis still ends up falling to GaiJ, who's able to hit the shots, hasn't missed all game. But the second that he lands, Yarkor is there, but GaiJ pops him for the double kill. What about the rookie stepping up big for United? Here is Scream, gets the cudgel on the Panatom. We said the Oni Fury fight would be huge. Well, it's United that's winning it.
GaiJ changed the face of that fight completely when he was able to kill Shinto with his ultimate. Shinto was already starting to channel his third ability on a Scream. It would have killed Scream and likely healed him enough to continue fighting forward, but GaiJ...
The Fire Giant, and really only Rongyu is nearby to stop it. Panatom is on the way, but he doesn't have the ultimate, so United drop it for a second, halt the DPS, and look for the pick on the Rongyu. The Abduct pulls him into his death, and Whirlwind gets another kill. United looking much better this time around, but into the backline goes Panatom, deletes Whirlwind off the map, so it's 1-for-1 support. Traded out for mid, but only Yarkor can turn into Cthulhu, into the Eldritch God, as he takes to the sky. They keep the rest of United at bay. Sanguine have to fall back, they have to regroup, but they've done enough Mifflin to defend the Fire Giant.
not only defend fire, but also take a tier 1 and 2 on the duo side, and gonna force down these towers and force United to group up as 5 right in front of them.
For all those towers coming down to value as Yarkor starting to fight off. His ultimate has already bought some space. Panatom's gone up too, and Gaiji and Herwin are pretty stacked up. That means the Anvil of Dawn get hit both in the back of the fight and get the beads. There's the Sanctified Field. You're knocked up approximately forever as Netroid gets the very first kill of the engagement. Gaiji gonna follow up. He does get a pretty critical pick onto Shinto there as well, but that fight coming up basically all Sanguine as they're able to get the 2-for-1.
Absolutely enormous play, and the synergy there with carries from United now have both their defensive relics up as well. Beads and Aegis on both Hurrywin and Gaijay, but Sanguine keep the Fire Giant relatively low, 20%.
They still have the Sanctified Field. They drop that and confirm the Fire Giant. Into the backline goes Scream, but he has to use his ultimate instantly, barely able to make it out of there as Gaijay goes up for the snipes. These can all hit, but Sanguine are out of there at this point, so the Gaijay ultimate
And Variety are going to take a huge hit now that Sanguine are able to stand up as 5 and push on one of these objectives.
Sanguine pushed forward though with the To the Skies ultimate. All 4 of them came through on it and got a ride right towards this fight with United. This isn't on Phoenixes. This isn't near objectives. They're just brawling in the jungle. Big Sanctified Field locks out everybody from United. Snoopy is the first one to fall. Into the backline goes Variety. He's got to get this kill on the Netroid, but there's too much sustain, too much peel, and Netroid able to live through all of it. Now United on the back of a 0-for-2 have to retreat to their Phoenixes. Sanguine in an excellent spot now.
And Scream might be caught out here, forced to use the Aegis, loses his life to Shito. That might just be game. Sanguine's health bars are slightly low, but they've got plenty of healing. Wrongview and Netroid can keep the entire team popped off, or topped off rather. Popped off might just be right as they start to approach this Titan. Hurrywin, no ultimate available, neither does Gaijay. No relics available for this Persephone either. It's going to be a hard-fought battle. Might just be easy for Sanguine.
Gaijay and Herwin, the only ones that can defend, but Sanguine come barreling into the Titan room. They push the carries aside and dump all the damage onto the Titan. Sanguine are looking for the dub. Sanguine taking care of United, and Sanguine get it done in 2 as they find another victory and bounce back after a tough